Hello, my name is Brian J. Brown. I'm a multidisciplinary artist, and I'm from Asheboro, North Carolina. Defining my style has always been somewhat problematic for me in that I have a deep appreciation for the arts in its many forms, but I would say that I'm most known for my mixed media paintings, but I also have been working as a foundry technician for many years, and in that position, I have helped to create one-of-a-kind bronze sculptures that are sent all over the world. When it comes to defining the type of work that I do on a personal level, I'm almost inclined to say that the work chooses me. I'm a facilitator for the production of ideas and concepts, but I try to stay out of the way of those ideas as much as possible in that production process. I choose a painting material and a substrate, but I try to let the paintings become what they want to be. I generally use a combination of acrylic paints, papers, and fabric in my paintings to convey those ideas. And each of those materials has its own little backstory, but I'll try to sum that up by saying that these materials are a destination that my life experience has led me to, and to put it simply, I like what they have to say. In thinking about my life story and its trajectory, I find it rather difficult to simplify, but if I had to pick a starting point, I'd say that it started with me simply saying that I wanted to be an artist, and then focusing all of my attention in that area from that point forward. I made that decision when I was in the 8th grade, and from then on, many personal and professional decisions were made easier in that I knew that the ultimate goal was to find ways to utilize my gift to create works of art. I focused my study in high school around art, and then continued that art education at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, where I received my bachelor's degree in art. During all of this time, I was continually painting, drawing, sculpting something, because in my eyes, there was an artistic holy grail of sorts that I was hoping to find, and the only way to reach or achieve that was to be as creatively invested as I knew how to be at that time in what I was creating and making. There's so many moments in my life that influenced my work and the way in which I create it, but when I think about one of the first moments in my artistic career that changed my perception of myself as an artist and the quote-unquote value of my work, I think back to one of the first big paintings that I sold. I had entered a painting into an exhibition at the Randolph Arts Guild, and at the time I wasn't really interested in selling my work, and especially the piece in particular. So, a little gallery trick that I tried to use was to price the work high so that no one would buy it. Well, someone called my bluff. Claudia, who was the gallery attendant at the time, told me the story of a young woman who was passing through town and stopped by the gallery, saw my piece sitting on the floor because the show wasn't even hung yet, and she fell in love with it and purchased it on the spot. I was flattered, surprised, amazed, and many other emotions, but I'd say that was a turning point for me to understand within myself that I was actually making things of value and that I wasn't the only one who could see and appreciate that value. It may sound simplistic, but what I think makes my work original or different is that it comes from my hand. It took a long time for my perception of my work to evolve to a point of understanding that if I created it, it's something that no one else could create, no matter how hard they tried, even if their specific intent was to copy. There's something intrinsically original about each and every one of us, which also means that the ways in which we express ourselves would also reflect this originality. I do have a few aesthetic choices that I make in my work that I feel are relatively specific to me, but I'll say again that I think it's more important to remember that we're all originals by nature, so there's no need to question how special or original someone is, because that's something that's inherent in all of us. My ultimate goal has always been and will continue to be to find ways to create and bring ideas to life, and to help others understand that they can do the same. I will say that I've never really been tied to seeing this happen in any specific form or fashion. It's my understanding that there are an unlimited number of ways of expressing ideas, and I intend to utilize whatever means suit my needs at any given point or stage of my life. At this point, I have a personal business venture that I'm working towards, including some canvases that I make. But beyond that, I'm keeping my spirit and creative mind open to what other possibilities are out there as avenues of expression. As I touched on earlier, I utilize a myriad of materials to express myself. I try not to limit myself in that way, but as an example, I'll try to briefly explain the process of one of my mixed media paintings. It usually begins with a spark of inspiration and a sketch of whatever the subject may happen to be at that time. I'll then generally recreate the design in a digital format for further editing and color arrangement. Next, I'll comprise the materials that I need, which include fabrics, paints, and papers that are chosen specifically to complement the composition. I'll then go through a process of layering these materials, usually on a canvas, in a way that I feel both conveys the intended idea and is aesthetically pleasing. So, what I've explained here is what physically happens in the creation of a piece of artwork, but I think it's also important to note that it can be as much of a mental endeavor as it is a physical one. I would almost describe it as a dance between the artist and the material. Sometimes the artist leads and sometimes it's the material that leads, but the goal remains the same. And that's for the expression to remain as true to what it intends to be, regardless of the artist or the material. It's an intimate and sometimes trying process, but not bringing the ideas and concepts to fruition is not an option as far as I'm concerned. My primary means of expressing or sharing what I do is usually through exhibiting my work. I've participated in shows across North Carolina with my personal work, and I've also had a hand in creating bronze sculptures that have informed and enlightened individuals across the country and the world. In the past, I've taught drawing and painting classes, but I'll continue to look for feasible opportunities to do more of that moving forward in my career. I love seeing people have that breakthrough moment of creating something that they may have previously deemed impossible. I've come to the conclusion that without the arts, we become a society of stagnation. Any advancement, any invention, any progress that has ever been made was first conceptualized by someone who could imagine something being brought into existence that didn't previously exist. And in my mind, that's exactly what art is. To me, training and revering that mental creative muscle is not only necessary, it's critical to the continued evolution of a society. While I feel that point is sometimes overlooked as we become complacent with the advancements that we've made, I also fear what the outcome would be if we no longer saw the value in understanding that each of us has the ability and the power to change or create the world that we'd like to live in, if the one we currently see before us no longer has the best interest of the people in mind or no longer works for the fulfillment and advancement of all people.